I kind of like knew like once it started to turn into something that it'd be more like if I had a reason to be doing it, or if, you know, like that's what I do for a living or something like that, then it would be like justified.
So welcome back to Industry Podcast. My name is Doug. Today we have Desert Dime. He's a vlogger, right?
Yeah.
In the off-road industry. He does a lot of work with SoCal Eric and Ducky.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I don't, like you said, vlogger, do I go by that? I feel like it's like a little bit of like a cringy word for me to use, but I feel like it kind of like describes what I do, you know? Like when you hear vlogger, you think of these people out in public, like the middle of malls and stuff.
Like LA style vlogger.
Yeah, and so that's why like I get super cringy about the word itself. But yeah, it is.
He's an off-road documenting specialist.
I don't know. I think that was like one of the bigger problems when I first started. Is like I'm a super like, or at least growing up, I was super shy and super like introvert. You know, so getting into this was super like difficult and boundary pushing for me as a person, because like it's like I said, it's just cringy, like having to hold and talk to an inanimate object in public at these events that we'd go to, you know, like off-road meets or in the desert or stuff like that. So I'd be super shy. Like when I first started the channel, I would like have to wait till nobody's around or they're all distracted by something else, or I'd hide behind a vehicle and do it and stuff. So I mean,
I think it's kind of intimidating when you first get into it, like seeing people that you've seen on social media, and now you have to go up and talk to them. And
yeah. But I kind of like knew like once it started to turn into something that it'd be more like if I had a reason to be doing it, or if, you know, like that's what I do for a living or something like that, then it would be like justified to be able to be filming in public and be that kind of person. So I've gotten better with it now. I think one, through the time of just doing it and being comfortable with it, and two, the fact that like you said, it's turned into a job for me. You know, I film with Eric, I film with Zach. It's that's probably something that we could touch on too, is the fact that like how let's start with the origin story of how I've got introduced to like this side of the industry, like the actual industry, and like the higher, I'd call them like the higher ups in the community, you know, like the big dogs. So I would just film my own vlogs casually for my own channel, Tacoma stuff. My main demographic is Tacoma guys, because that's kind of what I started with, the truck I had and building it and stuff like that. But then this past Supercross season, you know, I always go to A1 and A2 because it's just a party. It's a wild time.
We're there. Every year.
Every year, dude. It's great. But so I went to A1, and I had no intentions of going to A2 because at this point, this last season of Supercross, I was just like close to being out of money, like savings wise, because, you know, I saved up all through college. I went through college, graduated in 21, and kind of just stumbled into doing real estate as a job. You couldn't even call it a job because I made no money doing it. It's all commission based. So
it's a hustle
for a year.
It has to be a hustle.
Yeah, I just don't have that personality. I don't have the salesman type personality. So
I feel like you have to get a nice suit and like a BMW.
I had the nice suit, but I had a Tacoma instead. That squeaked every time I steered and went over bumps.
Maybe that's why when you pull up to a showing in your squeaky Tacoma.
No, but so for, you know, the year and a half after college, I'm just eating away at my savings trying to make this real estate thing work. Real estate was like the primary job that I had, and I did like filming as the hobby on the side. And then after like a year and a half of doing it, those two slowly started to shift because I'm filming my truck more. I'm building it more. I'm filming every day. And like we were talking about, once you start filming and stacking footage and stacking content, now you need to edit it and everything. It just builds up. So I just kind of put real estate to the side and was just doing content like every day. And then after a while I noticed, I'm like, dude, I'm not doing real estate anymore. I'm doing this. So I just kind of like leaned into it more, kept doing it more. But like I said, around, you know, fast forward to A2, I'm almost broke at this point because I've just ate at my savings for a year and a half trying to make money. So I wasn't supposed to go to A2. My buddy that I always go with every year, he's like, dude, come on, you got to go. And I'm like, no, dude, like I need to save money. I don't have money right now. And he's like, dude, just go. And I was like, all right, fine. Poor financial decision like usual. So I bought a ticket. And I go, and we're in the parking lot. You know, you get there 10, 12 start pre-gaming throughout the day before the race starts. And we're there, and my buddy's fiance's there, and this is a rabbit hole. So my buddy's fiance's friend's boyfriend, like I just met some random dude. We're just sitting in the parking lot chopping it up, and he's really into media. Like he has his own, I think it's his own media company, like on a big scale. Like he does commercials and stuff. And I wish I knew it off the top of my head so I could shout it out.
Was this not off-road?
No. So he knows nothing about off-road. He just knows media, and he's there because his girlfriend's there, So him and I are chopping it up about media because while we're pre-gaming in the parking lot, I have people that follow me coming up throughout the day like, hey, Dime, what's up? Like, oh, check out my build. So he starts to figure out that I do media. And I start talking to him about cameras and stuff, trying to get more knowledge so I can up my game. And then once we get into the actual race, he doesn't know what's going on. So I start explaining the race, like how the race works, how heats work, how Supercross works. And he's like, oh, so you're really into off-roading, huh? And I'm like, yeah, that's what I do with the media. I'm an off-road media guy. He's like, okay, well, I know this guy. Have you ever heard of the group Terra Crew? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, I've probably heard it once or twice. And he's like, I know a guy that's a part of their group that's looking for somebody to like film his off-roading. His name's Eric Connor. And at the time, I didn't know who Eric was. I think that's one of the things, a little side tangent here. That's one of the things about me is I didn't used to follow all the big guys because I know I'd be comparing myself to them and like their builds and their follower count and all this. So for me as a person, I knew it was healthier just to not follow any of these big guys and focus on myself, focus what I do, and build my own thing, So I didn't know
On that note, I think that's super important. We were kind of talking about this earlier, but so many people put so much focus on I think it's social media in general has done this to society, focusing on other people and what they're doing in their life. And it's taking time away from you to build your own thing and just be yourself. I think it's so easy to get lost in other people. Mm-hmm. But the second you're able to find yourself and just run on that road and stay on it, like it's pretty freeing in general in your life,
Yeah. So and to your point, like we were also talking about earlier, once you get these more amateur, younger guys going out and starting to shoot for bigger people, they just like freak out, like, oh my God, like I get to shoot for him. I think that was like one of the upsides to me not following any of these bigger people, never idolizing them, is like now that I'm in the position where I get to meet them and I get to film them and everything, I'm like not freaking out because I never followed you. I don't really I know of you obviously because you're a big name in the industry, but
there's normal people.
Yeah, they're just normal people to you, and it makes the job so much easier because I'm not tripping out about it. But so anyways, he's like, yeah, this guy Eric Connor, he's a filmer. I'll put you in contact with him. And I was like, all right, cool, that sounds great. Like a week went by, 2 weeks went by, and I never heard from this guy, the guy I met at Supercross. And I was like, okay, maybe he was just blowing smoke up my ass, whatever. Then just one random day, I get put into a group chat with him and Eric, and he's like, hey, this is the guy I was telling you about. He's down to film for you. So get to know each other. So Eric and I start talking, and he invites me out to that Clean Desert. I forget how long ago it was, but
that's when we met.
Yeah, that day. So that was the first day I ever met Eric, and it's like all the way out in Ocotillo. It's like a 3-hour drive for me, and I'm like stressing. I'm like, because in my mind I'm like, dude, this is sort of like a make or break moment, like this is one of the big dogs. This is like a doorway into like the higher end of the off-road community. Are we allowed to cuss?
Yeah.
Don't fuck this up, like don't fuck it up, dude. Like put your all into this one day, make him a good video. Cause that was the first day they were taking out Zach's new truck, the Camberg built race truck. So I was like, okay, dude, like you've seen this truck all over Instagram. Like you love it, now you're in this position. So it was a day, trying to do all that. And it was the same day where, I had met James before at like off-road expos, and he lives kind of near me. So I've talked to him a time or two before. He offered me a job way back when I was in college because I was going for psychology, and he works through the school district. Yeah. So he says, like if you need a job, let me know. And I didn't live in the area at the time. I was living up at school, so I never took him up on it. But so so at that event, you know, I'm just chilling at lunch and I don't know any of these guys. And at the Terra crew booth, you know, everybody was like mingling, eating their food, talking to each other. How's the family and everything? And I'm like, I don't know any of these people. I'm just here to film this guy I just met 2 hours ago, you know. And, you know, then I look through the crowd and James sees me. He's like, come over here. And I was like, me? He's like, yeah, come over here. So we go over and he's like, hey, dude, I've been watching your stuff. You know, it's really good. How would you feel about hosting a couple of videos on the Terra Crew channel sometime? And I'm like, yeah, I could find some time in my schedule. I can find some time in my schedule. I can make it work. He's like, oh, cool, yeah. And he's like, hey, we also need one more model for our new merch line coming out. They're going to go do a photo shoot right now. Do you want to model some of our merch? And I was like, yeah, sure.
Dude, isn't it crazy? You insert yourself into one event and you meet like your whole network of people, or it builds off that network.
Yeah, you know? It was just, and to go off on another side tangent here, like I think the beauty of being a media guy in this industry is it's such a small community, and everybody, like you said, like Eric, like there's these people that are just so humble, and it's like they're just a guy who likes to off-road. So there's no like status, you know. No one's like, oh, I'm too big to like associate with this desert time guy that's got. I
honestly think the smaller guys have more of that attitude.
Yeah,
some of them, not all of them.
They got the higher status, like.
Yeah, if they're on the come up.
Yeah,
they think like, man.
Yeah,
I'm going big, you know. But I think if they get big and they get there, I think they soon realize like, okay, this is not how it is actually up here on the top with off-road celebrity status, you know, because they're all just friends. I think once you get there, like you go to like a desert trip with like Parsons, they all hang out, and it's no different than going out with your buddies and going to the desert and just having a good time, you know?
Yeah. So it was, like you said, it just opens doors and you start like bouncing around. Like this guy now refers you to this guy. You get brought out to this race, meet these 3 more people, you know? So it was, that's just kind of how that day went. And ever since then, I've just been like unexplainably grateful for Eric, for Zach, for their whole family, just like all the things that they've introduced me to. Like I said, they were the doorway. They're the ones that put me on. Everything since, when was that meet? Like March or something? Probably beginning of the
February,
year.
March, somewhere.
Yeah, like ever since then, dude, this year has just been, it's like all the things I've gotten to do this year, media-wise, and the people I've met and the things I've filmed. It's like never in a million years would I have thought I'd be at this level in such a short time like that. You know, like it's
you're doing full-time media now?
Yeah, so fast forward to the Mint 400. I think that's the second time I had ever.
Hey, James from X Travel just got here. What's up, James?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. There's nobody in here.
No?
No.
There a restroom?
They're right here.
It's the best one in the industry.
You want to stick your face in the camera and say hi? James from X Travel, everybody.
I'll do a little plug for X Travel and your guys' collab. That time I sent Gion out, your first testing day when you went out to Hammertown, or
yes,
yeah, you guys were out in Hammertown and I was out of town that week. And I was like, Gion, take my camera, go film that testing day.
Oh, he did have your
and I'm
camera.
gonna make a video for that. So yeah, that video ended up on my channel. So shout out X Travel, LSK. But so yeah, fast forward to Mint 400, and that's only the second time I'd ever met Zach or Eric. It's they invite me out to the Mint 400 to document.
So you did Clean Desert and then straight to Mint 400?
For them, yeah. So my affiliation with them was that.
Just a quick fast forward into your...
Yeah. And I thought it was just kind of weird. I was like, these guys just met me for 2-3 hours and now they're driving me out. Like I wasn't even driving myself. Eric picked me up in Eastvale on his way up, and I rode up with them, stayed with them the whole weekend in their hotels, and flush. And
those are just sound effects. That's not real. I want to say something about Eric real quick. So I've obviously filmed a lot with Eric. One thing I really appreciate about him, so when you started working with him, he like specifically made a phone call to me just to let me know, like, hey dude, I'm gonna start. Take a drink, dude.
I'm trying not to crinkle it in the mic.
Sponsored by Aquafina. Huge shout out to them.
Best water around.
that is false, but that's a different conversation. No, but he called me just to tell me, like, hey, dude, I don't want you to get any weird thoughts about what's going on. I'm hiring Desert Diamond. I didn't really know you at the time either, to do like our vlogging and YouTube stuff. And he's like, I still want to work with you too. I just thought it was cool that he felt it necessary to go. Like, he's genuine with people, you know. And like for me, it shows that I mean something to him as well, you know. Well, even if I don't ever film with him again, obviously we go and hang out, but just the fact that he felt it necessary to call me and just basically making the introduction of who you were, what you were doing for their family. And I was like, dude, yeah, that's rad. Like, I don't have time in my life to go do any YouTube stuff for anybody. Like, it's full-time commitment. And I commend you for doing that. Like, it's different for me going out and shooting some bangers and dropping them on YouTube or Instagram. But to go out and do like this length stuff, but you're gathering information of a whole weekend and then putting that all together and chopping it all up. It's a different style of filming, you know, and I don't know if I could do it.
I want to bookmark a story where like the mid 400 leading into me doing it full time now and just go off on like another tangent. But yeah, I think that's where I kind of hit like a niche almost, is the fact that my style is a lot more casual. It's vlog style, you know. There's no super sick edits. It's not super crisp or super clean. It's just falling around and documenting like this moment in a person's life, so they can enjoy it, relive it, watch it years down the road, show family, and it tells a story almost, you know, versus like the higher scale, higher end, higher quality stuff like you do, where it's like a super clean edit, like you get the crisp shots, you just sync these clips up so beautifully. So I think that's kind of like where I hit a niche, and why I don't think I ever feel bad filming vlog style stuff for people who already have filmers that do the super nice stuff, because I'm just hitting like a complete different aspect of it, you know?
Yeah. Well, if you look at through the years too, back when I was a kid, everybody had like a home video camera, right?
Yeah.
And they were just shooting memories everywhere because they could. And then phones came out, or cell phones with social media and all this stuff. I feel like there's a big gap of time where all that disappeared, like the memories. Yeah. And it became just these short clips of whatever I do them, you know, like just short reels. And there's no like actual conversations happen with people and like memories that they can go back and watch. I think that's where you did find a good niche in this, is that you can come back and almost start like a new trend of vlog stuff. I mean, there's like Buttery Films. There's random guys who do like these vlogs, and they're popular, you know, because it gets people invested in like SoCal Eric's life and Ducky's life, of who they are as people. I think Zach, it's amazing to watch him. I only knew Eric for Eric before. I never met his wife, never met Zach until I think late last year, earlier this year. And for him to go as a father, bring his son into this, his son was interested in, and like give him a platform that a lot of kids don't get the opportunity for, you know? And his son gets to learn in a humble aspect, you know? He's not with like a super cocky dad that has all this money just to throw around. And I think that's really cool, dude, that you can go there and document this whole it's like a new generation coming up, you know, and you're kind of in charge of running that up, dude.
That's kind of the thing I noticed, because I guess even after we finished this mid 400 bookmark, I said we could just go back to like the actual origins of like why I started doing this and like how it became and like what it's turned into like personally for me, because like now over time, what I've noticed along the way is like this is great. Like I get joy out of doing this for people because it can cement this moment of their life on social media for them to go back and watch. You know, like I do those segments on my channel where I do build walkarounds on people's trucks, and I think like, dude, this is great for my friends and whoever else I'm filming these for, because they can go back and look like, you know, 10 years down the road when who knows? Maybe they don't off road anymore. They have a dad car. They got a minivan
Maybe
with
their
kids in the
truck is
back.
completely different at that point.
Yeah, and they could go back like, oh, dude, like that was such a great time, and it unlocks all those memories for them.
It was a
you know?
mid-travel kid at that time,
Yeah, and they can go back and just relive those memories and be like, oh, like just relive that part of their life because now it's there for them, you know. So it's turned into like a almost a beautiful thing in my opinion. But going back to Mid 400 and me doing this for a job now. So we're out at the Mid 400. I'm with Zach and Eric filming for them, and they're pitting with, I think it was MCC and in the Eisenhower camp kind of pit area, like all right there. And there's this guy, name gets thrown around like Gravel Kings and Ronnie, you know, and they're like, Ronnie this, Ronnie that. And I'm like, I don't know who this is. I'm not paying any attention to it. And we go the night before the race to their camp to sort of like talk about pit strategies and stuff. And I meet him and his filmer, and yeah, I just get introduced to them briefly. And then I'm talking with Eric. I'm like, oh, I'll snag some of because they had a helicopter. They were getting aerial footage of the race. And I was like, oh, I'll meet up, snag some footage from their media guy from the helicopter. And me and him talked of exchanging footage. So I meet up with their media guy when we get back from the trip, and we're exchanging footage. And he's like, hey, so like, what do you do for work? And I told him, you know, real estate, but I'm looking for a new job right now. Like, this is not working out. He's like, oh, well, we're looking to bring on another media guy. Would you be interested in that? And we talked the logistics out, and I'm like, yeah, it sounds like a good gig. You know, like this is a paid salary job to do what I've already been doing for free the past 2-3 years, you know? So I was like, dude, that just sounds right up my alley, you know? So that's the short and sweet answer of like, yeah, I'm currently doing this for like a actual full-time salary job right now, which is like mind-blowing almost, because like I said, I'm getting paid to do stuff I was doing for free for years. Yeah. Now I'm on a salary to go out and do this, and now I like we were talking about, I'm just meeting more and more people through this. You know, I go out to all these races, I'm filming for it, but I'm also just like, I wouldn't say the job so much is like what's really introducing me to people. It's just like me being Desert Dime, you know, me being my own person. Like we talked about, we're at the end of the day, we're freelancers, we're independent contractors of sorts. So I never want to try to be like I don't know how to say this without it sounding bad. Like I don't want people to look at me and think, oh, he is, you know, like affiliated with this person and that's who he is. Yeah. Like I want to be my own person. I want to be Desert Dime. I want people to know me as, you know, my off-road personality, my own content creator.
I mean, Desert Dime ultimately is your baby, right? That's what you're working on. That's what you're growing. So on the side, it's like me with LSK. I do full-time work for LSK. And the last 6 months, I've really pumped the brakes on Dweezy just because I didn't have a lot of time to do it. I mean, I guess you always can make time, but I do like to sleep it once in a while, you know?
You think you can make time.
Yeah.
You think you can.
I mean, I'm doing it right now. I started pushing Dweezy again, just working on edits and doing stuff for people. And dude, I'm editing until 11, 12 o'clock at night, and then I get up at 4:30 for work to come here. Like, it's not, you can't do that full time, you know? So you have to pick and choose your battles. But at the same time, like, I put so much work into Dweezy the first couple of years to get like this much success out of it. And I don't want to stop, you know, like ultimately if I work here for the next 20 years, I still want Dweezy to have its own name and its own entity in the industry, you know? I think it's a disservice to myself if I put all that work into my own thing and then just drop it because I'm working. And I think too, like, no matter what, the second you start getting paid full time, it's a different vibe for you.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is for you, but for me, it becomes work. And I think that's anything in life. You take a passion that you love, and now all of a sudden you have to make a living off of it.
Yeah.
Something shifts in your brain about it, but if I can continue doing this and then on the side, when I choose, go out, film with people, or let guys know, hey, I'm going to be out in the desert this weekend. You be out there? Cool. We'll shoot some shots, and then I can go home on my own time, edit that whenever, and just have fun with it. If you can maintain the fun in it, I think that's when you get your best success. Because for you had a good time. You went to the desert, filmed, had a good time, came home, and you're back to business. And it's super easy for me to get lost in the work side of it. I don't know how it's been for you this year, but it took a few months for me to get to that point of getting lost in the work of filming.
It's all just a task of trying to find the balance between the two, because
balance in life, dude, it's hard.
Yeah, life too. But when I was from the end of that real estate era to when I was like pushing my YouTube videos just hard, like 2 videos every week, and just doing that.
Which, if you don't know, 2 videos a week is a ton of work.
Yeah. I think the hardest part for me, though, is like actually trying to think up the content, like the filming, fine, editing, fine, but like actually thinking like, oh my God, like what am I going to do this week? Like it's stressful because I don't want to put some random shit out,
Yeah.
Like I want it to be content. But, so yeah, like pushing that, I was just on the grind of trying to build this name, this brand, because essentially that's kind of how it all started is, I don't know if you're into like automotive YouTube other than off-road, but like, TJ Hunt.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of how this all started for me. Is in college I would watch his videos and I'd see that lifestyle of like, oh man, he's got his own little shop. He's got all these builds. He had like 4 or 5, 6 cars at the time. Like he's got a drift build, he's got like street build, all this stuff. And I'm like, this dude's doing this for a living. He wakes up and gets to drive to a shop, hang out with his buddies, work on his cars and film it. And that's his job. I was like, that's what I want. So
I think at some point in that, it becomes like a natural, like you don't really have to think up the content that much anymore.
At that point, when you're doing it for a job and it's funding itself, it's so much easier.
Remember was the Fantasy Factory, right? Rob Dyrdek?
Yeah.
Back in the day?
Yeah.
That was like my dream in life. As a kid, this guy had a skate park inside his warehouse. Just everything you could think of, he had.
Yeah.
And no, I think it's like a similar gig, but
I feel like the difference between that though is like that was a network putting that on, and he probably had some sort of restraints and contractual obligations and stuff. Like it was more of a job than it was like this modern day of vloggers where it's like they pick up their own camera, they do all the stuff on their own, they're their own boss, and it makes it so much more fun and easy. But so that's kind of like what started the YouTube channel for me, and that's kind of like where my mind's been ever since I started. It's like I want to make this a brand, because that's ultimately what turns it into a full-time job, is when it becomes a brand. And the videos don't make shit. They don't make money at all. It's selling the merch. It's selling the brand, selling the lifestyle that you've created through the videos. So I'm from the end of the real estate era, I'm just like grinding every day, 2 videos a week, trying to build this brand, make it something that I can ultimately turn into a full-time job. And then, like I said, I'm going broke, so I need a job, and meet Gravel Kings at Mint 400. Now I'm working for them, and that's been probably 5 months into that job now. But in that first 3 to 4 months, I just abandoned my content. I just stopped making stuff because I was just a couple things. One, I'm focused on this job. I need to do this job because they're paying me to do it. And I go out and film races for them, and that's usually where I would make my own content. And now I'm trying to think in my head, how can I make both work? How can I film for them and film for myself at this one event? And it just came down to, you can't, or else it's just going to be a duplicate video, the same video on 2 different channels, which I never, ever want to do. Like, even when I film for Eric and Zach and I'm trying to film for my own channel, you just can't, or in my mind, I don't want to post the same video twice on 2 different channels. It just seems lazy, it's not original, it's not creative. So it just came down to, I can't film for my job and I can't film for my own channel at the same event. So I would just film for them. And somewhere in those 3 months, I just stopped doing my own stuff because I'm so focused on this job and I'm making money from it now. So the thought of like, okay, I need to grind so I can turn this into something and start making money off it just kind of fled.
Fled.
It fled. So,
I'm just curious, as like filmer to filmer, what did that do to you internally? I know you had thoughts about it.
At the beginning of it, like the first month or two, didn't even think about it because I'm making money. I'm making good money. So I'm like, whatever, I'm making good money. But then as time goes on, month 3 and 4, I'm thinking like, you need to snap out of the short term thought process and think long term, like 10, 15 years from now, what started this? What got you to this point? And got me to that point was, I want to have my own brand, my own channel in the future. I want to be filming my own videos as a job, selling my own merch, and be in the shop that I own, working on my cars with the boys. That's what I wanted out of this ultimately way back when I started this channel. Mm-hmm. So at that point, it kind of messed with my emotions and had a little bit like, oh my God, dude, like you just worked so hard to build this up. And you get into a rhythm of it, and the algorithm and the analytics really like it on social media platforms when you're consistent. So to take a month or 2 off from posting consistently like you used to, it really fucked it up.
It's like, it's low key, like kind of depressing. I like my impressions on my Dweezy account. The month before I started LSK, they were around like 900,000, 1 million every month. And then within 2 months, it went down to like 20,000, 15,000.
Yeah.
Right when it got under 10,000, I'm like, okay. Like I'm just literally letting my work dwindle away,
So I was like that year and a half, or even beyond that, because I was sort of like starting to film at the end of college, I was like that, let's say 2 years of work that you just did day in and day out for free, losing all that money while doing it. Yeah. It's going away now. It's vanishing before your eyes because you just got so caught up in the short term.
There's a flip side to it too. Like all that time invested and money invested for you turned into a paid gig. Yeah. That's like the flip side of the coin is, if you never did that, if I never did this, like we wouldn't be sitting here right now, Yeah.
And it's not to say I took it for granted. It's more so like you need, back to that balancing act, you need to be doing both. You need to grind double, twice as hard now. You need to be grinding for this job that is funding this other thing that you're trying to grow into something that could fund itself later. So I'd lost sight of Desert Dime. I lost sight of the channel, stopped posting. YouTube hated me when I came back and started posting consistently again, which, has been like maybe a month, 2 months maybe. And just the first few videos are just like flop after flop after flop. And I'm like, dude, like that just 2 month break really hit, really hit in a bad way.
Seems like they're back up though.
They're getting back to what they were, but
dude, YouTube is hard.
Yeah.
Like the only YouTube I've ever done is, I did a little bit with Dweezy, but for LSK, starting the podcast, we've done, I think this is number 20 that we've done. And I did the first 17 back-to-back weeks. Like it never didn't stop. And like getting into algorithms, like I've researched it and looked it up. I've talked to people. I've talked to Terra Crew. Even like Black Hat with Terra Crew, he's like, dude, we tried to do podcasts. And he's like, the amount of time you'd have to take to get that to go somewhere, he's like, we don't have time for it,
Yeah.
He's like, you'd have to do it consistently for probably a year, just for the podcast portion, for it to slowly start making some headway. And then at some point it'll catch and start going, but it's a lot.
I've gone down the wormhole of researching how algorithms work, like especially on YouTube, and it's crazy difficult. Not the research aspect of it. Like I found a really good video that explained it very well, but it's like you said, the time you have to put into it and the things that have to go into actually getting it to start working is especially hard, I think, for our industry. Like obviously if you're just like a daily vlogger, like these Danny Duncan people kind of thing, all you have to do is just some crazy, absurd, outrageous shit with a really good thumbnail and a crazy catfish title, and of course that's going to blow up. But I don't think I've never wanted to be that person that puts like a fake title or like a crazy thumbnail to like draw people in. Like I'm authentic.
It'd be so easy to do clickbait.
Yeah.
For especially these off-road podcasts. Like, Gypsy Tales?
Yeah.
Moto, he's like an Australian guy. all his stuff, he talks about it. He has one podcast where he's talking about why he does clickbait now. Mm-hmm. He's like, dude, someone was like telling him like, hey, you should do a clickbait, and he's like, no, I don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. And he just did it one day, and the one post that he did with the clickbait blew up like nothing he'd ever posted before. And so now like Brian Deegan, he had Brian Deegan on there, and the title was like, Brian Deegan said Pastrana ruined motocross.
Yeah.
Some title like that.
I saw that title, yeah.
But then when you listen to it, it's nothing like that. He talks about Pastrana like being a good side of motocross, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's been tempting like a couple times on the podcast to throw something out there. But I'm the same way. Like, I don't think I could. First off, I know too many of these people. Like, I don't want to have issues coming back to me, you know? But
I think that like plays into why real estate failed for me as well. Is like I never want to put on a fake personality. I never want to lie or deceive people. I just want to be authentically me, you know? And I feel like to be a salesman, to be a real estate, you have to put on that fake smile, put on the suit, drive a nice car, and like be somebody you're not. And I couldn't. And I think that's why I failed, because I was just authentically me, and that's not what's gonna make you successful in real estate with the number of agents that are out there putting on that fake personality. So that kind of carries over to why I don't want to do clickbait titles or anything like that, you know. But I think just to sum up this whole algorithm thing, I think what truly helps is just everybody sharing each other's stuff. Like how I was talking about a year or two ago when I had that off-road group. Every time we'd post, we'd be sharing each other's stuff. So like every day our stories would just be full of each other's posts, and all of us just like everything was just growing at like a good rate because we were sharing followers essentially, you know? So I think that, I mean, if you guys are watching this right now, go ahead and share the LSK podcast with your friends if they're into off-roading, because that's that's what helps these things grow is just aggressive views in the first 24, 48 hours, because it picks up, you know, YouTube sees like, oh my God, this video's got so many views in such a short amount of time. Let's show this to more people because it must be good. People must love it. So let's show it to more people. Yeah. So they're only going to push it if it's doing good initially. And it doesn't do good initially unless there's people out there sharing it or, you know, stuff like that.
It's completely different than, like, you can post a reel on Instagram and it can blow up. You can get 100,000 views on it and you'll gain like 300-400 followers. Mm-hmm. Whereas YouTube, I'll post like a short that does well, and you'll gain like 2 followers, 2 subscribers. So it's weird. It's just a completely different thing. And then you take Facebook, which is completely opposite of Instagram and YouTube. Then I'll like research algorithms on that, and they're like, oh, the best way to get in algorithms is to pay. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not gonna pay to try and get content out there. Like, I think there's enough organic growth if you can market to the right people that you don't need to pay a bunch of money to get your content out there, you know?
Yeah, like these people who, like, on Instagram, like, you could boost posts for, like, what is it, $5 or something? You pay, like, $5 and it, like, boosts it and it sends it out to more people.
5 to, like, hundreds of dollars.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it depend, like, on your following?
We don't boost any posts.
Okay.
There were some posts boosting before I got here. Uh-huh. Just because they didn't know, they didn't have a marketing guy. They didn't have the time to push all this stuff. So they were trying to boost their page by paying for it. And there were some months I was looking up that were like $600-700 a month that was going into hopefully getting followers, and it was actually doing the opposite. So we touched on this a little bit before, but when you start boosting, it doesn't attract your crowd of people. Yeah. So you'll get people in like Saudi Arabia or like wherever, all over the country, all over the world that have no interest in your product. Mm-hmm. They may like your post and follow you, but yeah, then you're stuck with like a bunch of gray profile pics with no followers on those pages. And then from that day forward, they're basically bots on your page that I think make you look worse in a way, because if you have 70, 80, 100,000 followers and you post something and you get 100 likes on it, mm-hmm. like, where's your engagement with your following, you know? So that was like a big thing I had to figure out. I wasn't really into social media when I started here, but like going deep into the backside of Instagram and figuring out what is wrong with it's a big, LSK was a big page, but it was dead in a way, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They had like 5% engagement out of all their followers.
Yeah.
So over the last 6 months, we've lost a ton of followers, but we've gained a shitload of followers, you know?
Or, like organic.
I think a lot of the bots and all that stuff is slowly falling off, and it's getting replaced with now UTV followers, because they used to only be truck suspension. So that was another hurdle to get over. Mm-hmm. How do you reach? I mean, they're two different crowds, you know, UTV and trucks. How do you reach both those crowds without pissing the other one off? You know? And I'll get like random messages on the Instagram. People are like, dude, I'm sick of seeing UTV content. But as a company, that's what we do.
Yeah.
You know? We do both. And the UTV side, whether people like it or not, the UTV side's been very successful for us. Our economy's in a weird spot right now. So as the economy's somewhat taking a dip, or we don't know if it's going to take a dip, the UTV stuff has been really helping us out on like sales. And I mean, it's smaller items. So instead of a $10,000 lawn travel kit, they can go buy a cage for $1,000 and spruce up their razor, you know? Anyways, so yeah, I don't know. The algorithms on social media for a media guy, it seems like your YouTube, you've obviously figured something out. I mean, you get posts that are 5,000 views, 10,000 views. Like, your stuff does pretty good. I'll watch it from time to time.
On Instagram? From time to time?
On YouTube. On YouTube. Instagram, I see more often. I don't really go on YouTube a lot.
Yeah, so the YouTube thing, I think the reason why they look like they're doing so good right now is because I've found, you know, like in all this research of like algorithms and like views and stuff, like one of the tips is like go through your library right now, see what did good, and just keep nailing that because it's doing good, you know? And I noticed that these walk around videos are doing good. It started with a guy named Chad. He used to work for Baja Designs. He had this long travel second gen Tacoma, just clean down to the T, you know, like just a clean, super nice build, something that I would dream for because, you know, I drive a second gen Tacoma as well. So I messaged him, I was like, dude, such a clean truck. Like, would you mind if I film it sometime? So we went out, met in the desert. I filmed a whole walk around of it, filmed it ripping through the desert. And that video did amazing. It's in my top 10 most viewed videos. So then I kind of like, I'll do a second one. I started doing my friend stuff, and I noticed that these videos of like walking around and seeing people's builds are like getting the most views out of other videos I'm posting, like the normal day-to-day vlog ones of me installing something or me at a meet or me at a race, you know? Mm-hmm. So coming out of that 2-month slump where I wasn't really posting anything because I started working for another company, I'm like, okay, dude, like these videos are just flop after flop. Like they're not getting views. Why not just start posting one walk around a week? Because like I said, I used to do 2 weeks. So now my mindset is do one walk around a week because I know those get views. Post it on the peak day, which is Sunday for me. I think it might be for most people actually. Saturdays and Sundays.
Is that the peak day?
For me at least. When I go in and check the analytics on YouTube, it says like that's.
Maybe I should try and post on a Sunday.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, post walk arounds on Sundays like once a week just to keep consistent, you know, keep YouTube happy, keep consistent, post that. And then if you happen to film a vlog video that week, put it up on your off day, you know, like I try to do like, it's up in the air when I post a second video a week because like there's no other like real good peak day except Saturday. And I don't know how I feel about posting like back-to-back days when there's a whole week. But so yeah, I was like, that takes...
It's the purge.
I was like, yeah, that takes so much stress off my shoulders as far as how I said, you know, I don't know what's the content this week. I don't know what I'm posting because now I have a set one that I'm doing every week. Just find somebody's truck that the community likes and do that. And then if I happen to do a vlog that week, throw it up as well, you know? So at bare minimum, you're getting one video a week that does good in views. And I love those videos. I love doing them because I think it kind of comes back to social media. Like growing up trying to build my truck, I'd see certain trucks. I'd be like, oh, dude, I really want to know what they have on it. You know, like what makes it look like that and everything. And you try scrolling through and you can't find any suspension shots because everybody's into the glamour, like full body at a sunset shot. And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to zoom in. Like, what do you have in the wheel well?
I think right now, too, pre-runners, like Cali pre-runners, are getting so popular.
Yeah.
I mean, look at our meets out here. They're ginormous now. I think the lack of knowledge for a lot of people that are getting into this, I think it helps a ton. Like you said, they look at more of, I think a lot of guys that are getting into it just want to see how the truck looks.
Yeah. What's
They
the
want
end
that, like,
product?
Not the necessarily Cali lean, but they want like that stout pre-runner look. So what gets that stout pre-runner look, you know? And like a few years ago, I had zero knowledge on pre-runners. I wanted a lifted truck, you know?
Yeah.
And now that I know the difference between a lifted truck and long travel trucks, I would never recommend a lifted truck to somebody. So I think it definitely helps people in the industry. Do you think you're stepping on Built to Destroy episodes?
So no, that's something I've thought about a lot, honestly. But again, I think I found like my own little pocket with the fact that it might happen in the future, I don't know, but as of right now and how it started, I don't want to do these crazy builds. What I'm more so after, and what I was after with the first one I ever did, Chad's truck, is like something practical that somebody watching this video can go out and build themselves, you know,
like a weekend warrior daily driver
an obtainable
type
goal, you know, like you see these Built to Destroy videos, like these trucks are badass, videos are sick, you get to see what this truck is, but how many people can actually build that, you know, how many people can build an RJ Fab style truck? So I think that's kind of what I wanted to nail with these videos is for the viewer side of it, like if you guys are looking to build your truck, this is what he has on it. You can go out and do this if you want. You know, you can build this vehicle.
So more of a realistic build vlog videos instead of I'm going to sit here and daydream about what I'll never have.
Yeah, and it gets more people into it. You know, it gets more people into the community, into off-roading because it's an obtainable goal. It's something that they can do. And it also gives these people that own these trucks their spotlight, their moment, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
who was the guy? I think it was maybe up in Ventura or something. Tacoma, Gray Tacoma. There's a black one up in Ojai. Maybe that's what it was. I watched that one.
Bajaze.
Yeah, didn't he like budget built a lot of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think stuff like that
as well. And
that's such rad, dude. And the budget builds, like if you go online and you put a bunch of long travel parts in your cart with shocks, I mean sticker shock is real. Yeah. But I think a guy like that, like that's more realistic for the majority of people out here. Like you can build a badass truck by budget building it, finding used parts, whatever, however to hustle it, you know, hustle your long travel kit into your truck and probably save yourself, I don't know, 10 grand, whatever. Yeah. Well, that truck was pretty sick, dude.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's hitting a weird point now because obviously with a combination of one, the demographic being Tacomas, like I said, and two, obtainable sort of not cheap in like the quality sense, but cheap like obtainable price wise. You combine those two, and that's how you end up with overlanders. Yeah, Tacomas and obtainable cheap builds. You know, again, not cheap quality wise, cheap price wise.
What do you think of overlanders?
I don't have a problem with them.
I think
it's just it's a completely different realm of off roading.
Yeah,
but the problem I'm having is
they're serious people.
Yeah, they do. They do serious stuff.
We do the GX 470s, Lexus. We do long travel kits for those. We have a ton of guys who run those things for the overland stuff, and I don't know, dude. It's like a whole different way of life compared to what we're used to.
That and even rock crawling too, like out at King of Hammers, Johnson Valley rock crawling. Yeah. I never had experienced that.
Gnarly, huh?
I just thought off roading was just off-roading, everything under one term. But like the more you get into this community and the industry, you start to notice like, dude, there are like these completely different segregated aspects of off-roading. Because I did that walk around with Nick Marr from Martech Engineering all the way up in Carson, Nevada. And he came down to King of Hammers, this past King of Hammers, and I was camping with him and he took me out rock crawling. I'm like, dude, I've been to King of Hammers before. I didn't even know this was 5 minutes the opposite way of the way I usually go in this desert,
Yeah.
And we're up just in this valley, just crawling rocks. He's on 40 solid 1-ton axle and everything, and I'm like, dude, like this is just mind blowing.
It's a different type of sketch, dude.
It's completely different. I'm like, this is off-roading. And
hey Shane, you want to get in on the podcast?
Yeah.
And the pre-running high desert, high speed kind of stuff that we do is a completely different kind of off-roading. And both of those are completely different from overlanders, like it's just a whole bunch of different fields you could get in with off-roading. But back to the whole thing. So yeah, I'm starting to hit this sort of demographic of the hybrid of Tacomas and obtainable builds, and that makes overlanders. And that's kind of what I feel like or at least part of my demographic on social media has become. And this is something I've started to acknowledge like the past month or two, thinking like, again, like I don't have a problem with it. That's just a different style of off-roading that I don't do. And I'm super into this whole pre-running, high desert, high speed race truck kind of stuff, as you could see like with what I filmed with Eric and Zach and stuff like that. So now it's a struggle of trying to retrain the algorithm and pull in that new audience, because I think that's why those videos that I do, race videos, high desert, high speed, pre-runners type stuff, just flops, because my whole demographic is Tacoma guys and overlanders, I think. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but I think
I think that's accurate. I've seen, like on your page, I've looked at the views and how it looks from post to post.
Different styles of videos are just...
Yeah, your walkthrough videos definitely kill it.
Yeah, so back to the whole... what started all this is the build to destroy things. I don't do like those crazy builds right now. And like I said, it might change in the future, but I kind of want to start to try to make that shift and find that sweet spot in the middle of overlander and pre-runner where it's still obtainable, but it's more desert high speed stuff.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how that's going to go. I got a good lineup coming for when desert season starts. I got a lot of guys, because I post on my story, like, I want to know what my viewers want to see. So I'll post on my Instagram story, little question box, like put somebody's Instagram or like their build page. Mm-hmm. Who do you guys want to see? Put it in there and I'll reach out to them. So this last time around, I did that last week and I got so many great builds that I'm excited to do. But the problem is we're in the middle of peak summer heat right now.
Yeah.
And I want to showcase these vehicles going to work, Like there's some builds where I'll just film sort of in town or around and just walk around the vehicle and not get them off-roading or going to work. But with these people that just got recommended to me that I've already talked to, like I want to see these vehicles and I want to record them in the desert doing stuff, but I can't do that right now because it's too hot for all of them.
It's hard right now.
All of them are like, wait till it cools down. I'm like, what's that, 2-3 months? So now I got to find people to squeeze in before those people.
Yeah, I went to Johnson Valley with Glamis Bums. Mm-hmm. It was the last trip of my desert season this last year ended in June.
Jesus.
Yes. It was miserable, dude. We went out there. I've never been to Johnson Valley in the middle of the summer. There was hornets.
Oh.
I'm not kidding, like this big, flying everywhere. Like the desert tells you get out,
Yeah.
But we had just put our LSK doors on their Razor. So I wanted to get some dirt shots. You can only take so many shop shots of stuff. Dude, it was brutal. It's like 105. It wasn't even the peak of summer, but it was 105 out there. And when you're standing out there with the camera trying to film,
yeah,
it's miserable. And then he broke a belt, golf cart things. He broke a belt. Shout out to Glamis Bums. Probably like 45 minutes into filming. Mm-hmm. So then we were stuck in the middle of the desert with these hornets flying around, trying to fix his belt. Shit's not easy, dude.
No.
In general, doing what we all do it's off-roading, whether you're in media or driving or you're a mechanic, it is so much work in every aspect.
I think we're in a terrible lifestyle right now because we only get to do it. We only get to enjoy it half a year, you know. The other half of the year, we either just don't do it or we suffer through the heat and continue to do it, you know. Like I was working on my truck Monday and Tuesday, you know, sun up to sundown, replacing a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm just sweating from every pore on my body.
Yeah,
you know,
so
my knees are sweating. Didn't know knees could sweat.
Yeah.
But like,
they sweat.
Head to toe, I'm just like dripping. I'm like, what am I doing with my life right now?
You think of the guys who are doing that all year long, working on trucks in their shops. All these shops, dude, we don't have air conditioners. I mean, we have big ass fans. That's the name of them. Which they work, but they're essentially just blowing heat around. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but these mechanics, like SoCal Eric's shop, I would not want to be Soul over there doing that all day, every day.
Yeah. Are we crazy?
I think you have to be somewhat sort of crazy to be in this industry.
Are we crazy or just stupid?
I don't think it's stupid.
I might be.
I mean, we probably have some stupid in us. When you were a kid, were you off-roading, riding dirt bikes, or?
Oh, yeah. So I guess we just never touched on any of the origin of
you were just
Desert Dime at
all.
all.
You were just 24 one day. So
I just showed up with a channel.
Yeah.
No, so I'm definitely the black sheep of the family in that sense. We never grew up going to the desert, never grew up going to the river, you know, nothing like that. Never that lifestyle. I'm blanking. I don't even know what we grew up doing, to be honest. But never, none of this. So what really got me into off-roading was when I first started driving, I got a Tacoma, and a buddy of mine in high school, we had culinary class together, you know, senior year when you're just filling your schedule with stupid classes. A buddy of mine in culinary class, he was really into off-road stuff. The page isn't as big as it was back then, like 2012, 2016 kind of area. But Ranger Nation, you ever heard of that page?
Yeah.
He was running it at the time, and he had a Ranger red long travel caged Ranger, and he saw that I had got a truck, and he's like, "Hey, dude, I'm going to the desert in a couple of weeks. Do you want to come with me? Do you want to go off-roading?" And I'm like, "Sure, like sounds like fun." I'd never been. So we went out, I off-roaded, it was a TRD Pro Tacoma, so it had suspension, you know, and bigger tires.
It was an off-road Tacoma.
It was on 31s, dude. That's tiny. 31s and an inch and a half lift,
Baller.
I think. This was before they started to put the Fox shocks in them, you know?
Yeah.
It was just a painted coil. So mobbed that. I think my first trip out, I jumped it. Like I don't even know if I have the picture anymore, but I'm clean off the ground, just hucking it and just landing and bouncing around. And I just fell in love with it day one, you know? So from there, I just got into off-roading. Shout out my buddy Garrett, though. He's the one that got me into it. Without him, I wouldn't be where I am today. I think about that constantly. You know, if I never went out on that first trip with him, I wouldn't be where I feel like my whole life is consumed by off-roading right now. It's my job. It's my hobby. When I'm not working, I'm doing it for fun, you know? Like when I meet, you know, if I'm out in the dating world meeting ladies, they're like, "Oh, what do you do for fun?" I'm like, "Well, this might sound crazy to you, but..." And
Are you single?
Yeah.
This is your guy right here. He off-roads, and that's it.
I don't know your demographic.
He's 24 and he off-roads.
I don't know your demographic. I don't know if you have any hot young single.
They're all between 21 and 24, and they all off-road.
I really think if we pull up your analytics sheet after this, it's going to be like 99 point something % male.
We're going to leave his home address and his phone number in the bio.
I need to get on that. My home address. Dude, I've had somebody... Okay, let's talk about this right now. I don't know where we just left off, but we're switching gears here. I don't know if it's a friend trolling me or legitimate, but I have a stalker. So
Didn't you just post about that?
yeah,
Yeah.
And nobody asked about it, which was weird. It was kind of like a cry for help, hoping
Now
somebody would
you
ask.
really don't know who it is.
No. So back when, like I said, we had that off-road group a year and a half ago, we tried to start like an off-road group page for our group. And this guy starts DMing that page saying, oh, how do I apply? How do I apply? And like, we just thought it was like weird, like some guy just like trolling, messing with us. Cause it's like, you don't apply. Like, it's just like a page for our group, you know, it's not like a club or anything. He's like, oh, how do I apply? And he's like heckling with the guy that owns the page. Then he starts heckling one of the girls in the group. Like he's DMing her and they start DMing the account about her and stuff. And it just got really weird. So he would reach out to like the people that were in the group and start like DMing them and putting them in group chats, like just acting weird. So we knew it was a fake account. It was brand new, had a stock photo that was super grainy of a Tacoma, like in a lake bed or something, and no followers, no posts. So we knew it was a fake account, whatever. So we ignore him. He kind of goes away. Then break off, that group kind of disperses. I start doing my own thing now. And I post a picture of my truck and the caption was like, one of my favorite places to take pictures, you know? And some guy comments, my favorite place to take pictures is, and drops my full address, numbers, street, city, area code.
Recently?
This was not recent. No, it was probably a year ago.
Okay, so you've had stalkers for a while.
Yes, I think it might be the same guy. That account that dropped the address wasn't the same account that did it, but you know how easy it is to make accounts. So I delete that, block the dude, whatever. Hadn't heard anything. Then just this past week, when you saw that I post that, I get a DM from a new account, but the same name and stock photo as the one from a year and a half ago. Message request like, hey, do you have any videos on suspension or know of any good setups for my Tacoma? And I'm like, that's my whole fucking page. Of course, you know I do. Like, you're just trolling me.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, dude, who is this guy? It's been like a year and a half. It's obvious that it's like a fake account because you use the same name and the same stock photo as the last one or a similar variant name. And then I start thinking, I'm like, is this the same guy that dropped my address? Because in that message where he asked, do you have any videos? He drops my full government name. He said, hey, full government name, do you have any videos, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's just fucking weird.
It is
and
weird.
It's especially weird because people have just grown to calling me Dime. Like, that's just what people call me now because of the name Desert Dime. They just call me Dime. So for somebody to drop my full government name was just odd. It was strange.
I already forgot your name already. And we can keep it that way.
It doesn't matter. That's what...
Do you know my name?
I feel like I know the first one, but not off the top of my head. I was thinking about it earlier when you're like, I don't know your name. And I was like, I know yours, but I just can't think of it. Because it's on your profile, isn't it? Like, it's like Dweezy, and then you have the little name thing.
No. It's Doug.
Okay.
But it's, I don't put my name up there.
Well, you just did.
Well, they know me from LSK, but.
Yeah. But it's, I mean, part of me is like, if it was anybody else that had messaged me that other than this guy that I know is a fake account, I would have been like, okay, they just have been a long time follower because my YouTube used to be my full name. And I changed that once I started real estate because I didn't want like clients looking up my name and seeing the whole off-road YouTube channel. So, yeah, it was strange. I don't know who this person is. Again, I don't know if it's like just a friend trolling me and they're going to come out and be like, dude, it was me the whole time. I was just messing with you. Or if it's like a legitimate person who's just creepier than hell.
Yeah, it's kind of sketchy. Not knowing.
It's sketchy that somebody out there has my address and they're posting it in my comment section.
Did you respond to the guy?
No, I deleted it immediately. Because I don't want, I don't want people knowing where I live. I don't want people pulling up to my house.
Yeah.
Especially, back then I used to park in the driveway because we had no garage space. I was like, well, now my truck's sitting outside with full-size spare just in the bed with a spare tire strap. That could get taken. Somebody could easily just... Back then is when catalytic converter thing was going wild, you know. Anybody could just climb. That's the downside of trucks. We're lifted all these inches off the ground. You don't even need to jack up the car. Just
they're
slide
easy to
under,
get
2
under.
bolts, and you got a full exhaust system for yourself right there.
Yeah.
So I was like, dude, I don't want people knowing where I live. I don't want them messing with my truck. I don't want them trying to break in, keying it if I have pissed somebody off, which I try not. I think I'm a pretty nice guy. I don't know. I'm sure people out there hate me, but for no.
Yeah, it's not too hard to not piss people off.
So yeah, it was just creepy that somebody out there has my address and they're posting it for everybody to see, and now DMing me with my government name.
I think if it was one of your friends, they probably wouldn't do that to you.
They would have come forward by now.
Yeah. So Tacomas, there's a stigma around you guys.
What is it?
Tacoma guys.
What is it?
That's it.
Being a
Maybe
Tacoma
you
guy's a stigma?
guys are a little, I don't know if it's stuck up. We talk about Tacoma guys a lot. Like our Tacoma customers, shout out to them for getting our product. But they're
You better tread lightly here. You're gonna lose some.
yeah, no, they're a different breed. You guys are a different breed.
I think it.
So I'm just curious, as a Tacoma guy yourself, do you see your guys' self as
It's strange because I've tried pinning certain personalities on the vehicle that they drive in the off-road community. Gian and I had a little it's not a podcast, like a podcast style video on my channel that I tried out once, and we were discussing, I forget what the topic of it was. Oh, it was like, should everybody be accepted
People
into
getting
the
into the
off-road
industry.
community? And we
Yeah.
kind of went off on a tangent about UTV guys and the guys that drive UTVs. And then as we were going through this episode and I'm talking it out loud more, I'm starting to realize it's kind of hard to pinpoint a personality to the vehicle. It's just the person themselves, you
Yeah.
know? Because I've met some of the nicest people in the world driving Tacomas, and I've met, like you said, some of the cockiest guys out there. So
No, I think real quick on the UTV side, we've talked about it in quite a few of the podcasts, but I think it's with any sport, anything you do right now, side by sides are the easiest way to get in and go smash in the desert.
yeah,
Go to a place, finance it, head out there and do your thing. You don't need experience. You don't need to go through a course. You don't need to do anything but buy it. Whereas a guy with a truck, most likely you've spent a lot of years off-roading, getting to know vehicles, getting to know terrain. So by the time you get into this high-powered vehicle that can do whatever you want, essentially, like you have the common sense of that sport. The same with the river. You have guys that go rent Sea-Doos or go finance a Sea-Doo. They have no knowledge of etiquette on the river.
yeah,
And people look at them like they're assholes because they don't know. So the lack of education and lack of knowledge, I think, plays a big role in what people think of UTVs or what people think of whatever it is, you know. But then there's also professional race car drivers that race Can-Ams, race Razors, that have the same etiquette as a trophy truck driver. You know?
yeah. That's essentially what that episode boiled down to. Was it's just how quick did you get into it?
Yeah.
If you're able to go to the store and buy this crazy performing machine, and you've never, like me, if you never grew up off-roading and you just walk into a Burt's Mega Mall or a Chaparral and you see a UTV there and you're like, I'm buying that. Obviously, you're going to go to the desert and you're going to be that asshole that's blowing by the camps down the fire road at 80 miles an hour. And you're the guy that's doing donuts in the middle of the camps, dusting everybody out. And versus the guy who, you know, like a high school kid who gets a truck and builds it over the years and slowly is introduced at different stages of a build. Like, okay, you know, like it slows your roll a little bit and you get to learn it more, learn the etiquette, learn how to read terrain, stuff like that. But
yeah, and I think the built not bought saying, I'm not real big on that saying, but the built not bought part of it, I think you gain a lot more respect for your vehicle.
yeah,
If you're building it yourself, or even if you have a shop building your truck, you're still working your ass off to pay for somebody to put that truck together for you.
yeah,
You have a different respect when you're out there driving it. Obviously, you don't want to go crash into another truck on a dune or whatever it may be, you know. I think our sport in general, there's a lot of stigmas, like the Tacoma guys or 4Runner guys or mid-sized truck guys. Like, you can just go to any part of it and say there's a stigma on those people. Speaking of Tacomas, I've never been a big Tacoma person, but that 2024, I would buy that truck.
They look like the miniature new Tundras that came out.
That thing looks so sick.
Yeah.
Oh, there's like a weird mixture of people. I think once people start seeing them lifted or long travel kits on them, built, whatever, it's like any vehicle. You see it first time, you're like, that's disgusting. Mm-hmm. Not this one though for me. It's so sleek, dude. Oh, like throughout the years, like a new Silverado would come out. I used to be a big Chevy guy. Silverado come out and be like, dude, what are they thinking? Mm-hmm. And then you see the first one with like rims, tires, leveling, even just a leveling kit and tinted windows. Mm-hmm. You're like, dude, that's sick. Yeah.
That's how I am with a lot of things. I like new generations of vehicles that come out and even music, you know, like the first time I see it or the first time I hear it, I'm like, no, it's not for me, you know, because you're so used to what's currently there. Mm-hmm. But then for me, it takes, you know, like after a month or two of being around it, I'm like, okay, like this is pretty cool. I dig it. But
what kind of music is in that, in those speakers of that Tacoma?
Everything under the sun except EDM. Can't get behind any of that rave house music kind of stuff. Not for me.
Like dubstep, no?
Mm-mm.
Skrillex? No. So no Skrillex? No. You listen to metal?
I don't know. Not like define metal. We'll give some like examples, like screamo, kind of like where you can't even understand what they're saying because they're so close to the mic.
You know who Under Oath is?
Nope.
What?
Okay. The music all depends on the mood, the time of day, like the everything. Like the music I listen to when I'm off roading is completely different than the music I'll listen to if I'm editing videos. To the music I listen to if I'm sitting by the bonfire with the boys. You know, like it's all different. Depends.
I like silence when I'm off roading.
Do you?
I like to listen to my vehicle. And that's it.
Yeah, I see that. It's half for me. Like sometimes I'll roll down. Every time I off-road, and it pisses off the people I get in my truck after, I off-road with my windows down all the time. I never off-road with my windows up, ever. So we'll go outside and check. My dash is literally caked in dust. It's just caked.
That's the only thing I like about summer is my truck stays clean for a little bit.
Even during summer.
Dude, it gets so hammered during wintertime. For the same thing, like, it's hot. Once in a while, you want your windows open. The second those windows get open, your entire vehicle is trashed.
Mine stays dirty. I try to clean it after every trip, and then a week later, it's coated in dust again.
It's just too hard. We did 24 trips last season to the desert. I think I tried to clean it one time, then I was over it. I'm like, dude, I clean it, and then like 4 days later, I'm back in the desert.
Yeah.
It's useless. And right now, we don't daily drive that thing anymore, so it just sits at home. And I don't want to take the time to do it, but it is nice in summer season. You can clean your vehicles and they stay clean for like a few weeks.
You know,
except yours.
You know, except mine. I just hate driving with the windows up. I like being in tune with like the outside. It makes it so much more fun. But you know what we need for like the tail end of this video? I'm gonna get you those clickbait titles. Why don't you ask some hard hitting questions and see if I can generate some controversy for this episode. You tried to dabble on the Tacoma one, but I mean it's just too broad of like a thing for me.
I mean, where do we clickbait? Do we clickbait like Terra Crew and all of our friends in the industry?
No, I mean I didn't say anything. Something I've noticed about myself while you think of a nice hard hitting question is I sit on the fence with almost everything in life. Like I could see both sides of anything. I'm just right on the line with a lot of stuff, you know? So I don't think unless I really try or I'm super passionate about it, you're not going to get a whole lot of like controversy out of me unless I'm like I said, just super passionate about it, I guess, you know? But I see that brain working.
Yeah, no, we got it. What do you think Dirt King has over LSK or LSK has over Dirt King?
Dude, I don't know.
You run Camberg, right?
Yeah, I run Camberg. That's why I'm like thinking like I don't run either of your guys' products. I don't know.
Did you research either of them before you did Camberg?
Not really. So the way it came about those Camberg uppers is they had just hit the market like that month or something, and at the same time as when I had met and was hanging out with Anthony West every now and then. Like we went to there was this meet that tried like this company that tried starting to host like annual meets at Angel Stadium. I forget what it was called. It was like Auto Enthusiast Day. That only went for like 2 or 3 years before it fizzled out. But him and I would like go to that and stuff. So at the time, he was doing like parts dealing for Camberg. So that's how I came into those uppers. I didn't really do. They just looked amazing. I think that was the first time anybody had not done a full like complete box. How they kind of like etched into the box and gave that kind of design and look to it. So I thought like, oh, this looks cool. But something I do like about Dirt King, I was thinking about this recently because some of the walkarounds I'm going to do, I think are builds that Dirt King uses for advertising or used to be. The vehicles they use for advertising, like their shop builds, the ones that they'll wrap in the Dirt King logos and stuff and do a full wrap on. I think that marketing is like amazing.
Did you see ours? Did you see the video I posted?
For Tacoma?
No, for Silverado.
I don't think so. I might have.
I'll show you a sneak peek.
Why is it? Has it been released yet?
No.
Oh, then I haven't seen it.
Shop.
Oh, see, that's a badass wrap. I dig that.
So this is, in 13 years, the first vehicle that's getting wrapped for LSK.
Nice.
I think Dirt King, I talked to Greg a lot at Dirt King, he's the homie. But I think what they're so successful at in social media is they only stick to trucks, right? They're in their one lane, and they just post the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. It's the same truck next to their shop, or it's the same truck sitting in that whoop section, or it's the same truck doing a pass in the whoop section. And I think algorithm-wise, it's benefited their company a lot to be able to just keep. They're not recycling, but they're recycling ideas of posts over and over and over again, and it works. Their company grows, the page grows. Clearly, they've done a very good job at getting their product out to the pre-runner SoCal Nation. I mean, across the whole states. But we've got nothing wrong with them. I have one question for you.
Okay, just one.
I'm trying to hit you in the soft spot right now.
Okay.
Ready?
I'm ready. I'm scared.
Terra Crew or Gravel Kings? And why?
I don't even know if this should be answered on here.
I know this is.
I think you went a little too above and beyond with the hard-hitting questions.
Hey, he asked for the question, so. I think they each have their own.
I think I want to steer this conversation into one that we were having before we started the podcast, if that's okay.
Okay, so he passes.
No. Yes, I don't know. Take it as you want, but here's going to be my answer to this. Obviously, Terra Crew, even going way back to Dirt Alliance, have just dominated in their lane that nobody else has touched for the off-road industry.
Insane what they've done with it.
No one has ever done it, or even to my knowledge tried to do what Dirt Alliance did. Now Terra Crew is doing, sort of like what, I don't even know how to describe it, like a lifestyle, like a brand lifestyle for the off-roading. And to see Gravel Kings come in and try to do it as well, to me, I thought was interesting. I thought it was good in the sense that if in anything in life, I don't think anybody should have like one total monopoly over one thing, So I think it's cool. Like now there's a second company brand kind of similar to it. And they also dealt with off-road racing too, which to my knowledge, again, we talked about how like I never really followed any of the big guys because just for my own mental sake. To my knowledge, the Terra Crew never really dabbled with or heavily leaned into off-road racing. It was more casual stuff, So I think that was a cool aspect to Gravel Kings that they're dealing with racing.
And they primarily do racing, right?
I would say so, not
he deals
not organization wise. I think it comes down to the other filmer that I work with. I think he really likes off-road racing more than just like the lifestyle kind of stuff that I do, you know, like more casual lifestyle day-to-day kind of stuff. So I think that might be why it looks like they do a lot more race related stuff, because that's just kind of what their filmer, who would have been their solo filmer, was into.
It's more adrenaline based filming for him.
Yeah,
I would say
either that or it's just it's his preference. So that's kind of why that's the way it is, I think. But no. So to kind of bring this to the conversation we had before it started, I don't think. Obviously, the industry is big enough for all of it, and I don't think it should cause any beef amongst anybody in the industry that a second one is trying to come in and do it. At least for that simple fact. Like if somebody else is trying to come in and do it, don't get upset about it, you know?
Yeah.
Like you were talking about when I came in and started filming Eric, did you hate me?
No.
It's
Dude,
I mean,
I don't hate anybody.
it's just so I guess this versus that on it, I mean, like they're both trying to do it their way, and I think that's good.
Yeah.
Everybody should try to, if you see something you like and you want to go and try to do it your own way because you think it'll be better that way, go ahead and do it your own way. It's going to be your own thing. It's going to be your own baby. It's going to be your own project.
Yeah, and I feel like every single player or piece of the puzzle in our industry, whether that's filming, whether that's a brand, lifestyle brand, whatever it is, it's all a building block for the industry we're all in.
Yeah.
We all grow from it somehow. You just asked me if I hated you. No. I think for Eric, like, him and I already know, dude. I'm a dad. I got kids. I have a full-time job. Like, I can never put that amount of time, unless it was some gnarly salary, towards something like that. And so for him, like, he had a need that I couldn't fill, you know?
Yeah.
But probably for the length of my life, I'll always have that opportunity to go out to Glamis with Eric, shoot some bangers with him for the weekend.
Yeah.
And have some stuff for my page and his page that we can drop whenever, you know? And I don't want in the future Dweezy to be money based with people anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's taken my desert trips that I used to love doing and turned them into work. And I want to just be able to have my camera in my truck. If we pull up to a jump spot, devil slide or whatever, like be able to go film a little bit and still enjoy my time so I can keep some sanity in my brain. So I'm not working 100 hours a week, just trying to slam out film all the time, you know?
Yeah.
I think the goal for the future at some point in life would be to have a film company, an off-road film company that's not necessarily based off of me personally, but maybe have like a team of filmers that a team can hire out for a race or, you know, whatever. I don't know what the future holds, but yeah.
That was a hard-hitting question. I'm still over here processing it. You think I'm gonna?
The name of this podcast is gonna be Terra Crew versus Gravel Kings.
Oh, dude, I feel like we could have talked about it way longer. I don't know. You think I'm gonna get fired off this? Do you think I'm gonna get fired? Do you think James is gonna be pissed at me?
No.
I don't know. I haven't talked to James in a while.
You should probably shoot him a message.
Yeah, I should hit him up. He's too busy.
Yeah.
Too busy of a man.
He is a busy guy. Do all the Terra Crew guys.
He's very busy.
It's crazy what they do.
Yeah, I gotta. Dan might be back to doing his own videos after that.
No.
I don't know. Did you see how, like I said, I sit on a fence with a lot of things?
Yeah.
Did I just do it right there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I see both sides, you know?
Yeah. No, I think it's good conversation. Dude, I want the goal for this podcast at some point, I want people to sit here and be able to talk and just be real. I think there's so much fake on social media nowadays.
Yeah.
And like last week's podcast, Hurricane made a comment about UTVs, saying that they were, in a way, financially revived off-road.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And people like lost their mind over that. You're wrong. That is not true. But it is true. I mean, there's facts about any industry that people aren't going to like or whatever. And I think for this, like, I want to be able to sit down with racers and like Parsons. We've been trying to get Parsons on here for a while. He's a very busy guy too, but he's got a story he wants to tell in here of his life that I don't think 90% of the people know, and I think we've lost touch of reality with social media nowadays.
Yeah.
With these people, I think Wilkie does a really good job of showing what he does on a day-to-day basis. He just works nonstop. But all these guys are doing that. All these guys are working, and I think it's hard to capture the good and the bad on your social media and do that fluently. So if we can have a podcast like this and be able to have a spot for these people to sit there and tell their followers like what the grind is, what they've had to go through, the lows, and the highs.
Yeah. And
it gives a different perspective for people and a different respect for them,
Yeah. I don't get why people are afraid or just don't want to show like the bad sides or like their authentic self and want to put on an online personality.
Yeah.
I think it's so much more work to do that, and I find it so refreshing and freeing and good for me to just be me. I don't ever lie about anything on my social. I don't post any I'm not posting clickbait. I'm not trying to front and say like I got, I don't even know how to describe it. Like I'm just me. I'm just me.
You. Yeah.
I'm just me, and I'll share the ugly sides. Like I shared with you. Like, dude, I was close to going broke after that year of trying real estate and even filming these videos. 2-3 years of filming with no kickback from it, not even small YouTube money because I wasn't even monetized in these 2 to 3 years. I just recently got monetized. I'm about to come up on a year, and still even then my monetization's minimal. So there's ugly sides to everything. I feel like that should be the title, the dark side to
the dark side of off-road.
The dark side of off-road media.
Yeah.
But I don't see the need to hide stuff. I should be honest with it. It's all going to come out one way or the other, like we were talking about before.
Yeah.
The person we were talking about, you saw one, and then you hear the backstory to it. And it's like, whoa, why not just put it all up front? Why not just be a good person? Because it's all going to come back in the end, especially in an industry this small. That's like the biggest thing that I've learned over the past year or two is this industry, the industry and the community both are very small. Anybody that I've ever met, I've had at least 3 mutual friends with in the industry itself. So you burn one bridge, it's gonna spread like quick. A wildfire.
Yeah.
Like you'll be out somewhere. I was all the way out I was feeling battle at Prim, and some random guy came out to me and he's like, he just puts his phone under my face and he's like, say hi to Andreas, like one of my good buddies. And I was like, well, dude, like what are the odds that like I'm all the way in a different state and you're best friends with my buddy and you saw me out here? Like it's just stuff like that where it's so small. So be a good person. Don't lie. Don't burn bridges, because in this industry, in this community, you'll get shut out fast if it's bad enough, Once that bridge is burnt, it's done. And reviving it, people are going to move on and leave you in the dust. So trying to revive it's not going to work.
Well, there you have it.
I think that's a great outro.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Thank you for coming out, dude. Go follow him, Desert Dime, on Instagram. Is it Desert Dime across TikTok?
I don't have TikTok. I
No
don't mess
TikTok.
with that. YouTube and Instagram. That's it. That's my cup of tea right there.
Go give this guy a follow. Check out some of the build videos.
Check out some of the vlog videos.
And the vlog videos. Try to get those vlogs going.
Those are the ones I love filming. My favorite.
So we'll have this out in a couple weeks. I appreciate it, dude.
Thank you so much for having me on. And if you want to turn it into like you were talking about, a more casual sit down, because like right now you're like doing interviews essentially, almost like it's a podcast, but it's like new person interviews every time. If you just want to get like me and some of the old people together, and we just do hard hitting questions and just be honest and open about it.
Maybe we can use Dweezy's YouTube for that.
There you go.
Because Dweezy's YouTube is kind of dead right now.
There you go. I'll come in late at night. I'll come in 9 o'clock at night when this place is shut down.
All right, we'll see what we can come up with. Thanks, dude.